What's up, guys? I'm Fuller with Custom Offsets TV on the YouTube, and it seems like one of the biggest arguments in the truck world is always Ford versus Chevy. So today we wanted to break down some of the facts on each truck in the last few generations and hopefully help you decide which one you think is the better truck. So today specifically I'm going to cover the 13th generation F-150 and the 4th generation Silverado, and if you guys like these videos we'll go back and compare the older generations also. So then, starting with the most recent body styles, the Silverado got an all new design in 2019 and the F-150's new design was actually back in 2015, but it did get a mid-cycle refresh in 2018, so those are the first 2 years that we'll be comparing. Now, from a power standpoint, there's obviously choices for engines in both trucks, right? But the 3.5 liter EcoBoost is the most popular in the F-150, and the 5.3 liter V8 is the most popular for the Chevy. Now, obviously, there's some key differences here. The Ford is a twin-turbo V6, where the Chevy gets your standard American V8. The Ford is actually the winner here in horsepower and torque war, with 375 horsepower and 470 foot-pounds of torque, whereas the Silverado's V8 only makes 355 horsepower and 383 foot-pounds of torque. Now, both trucks have a 10-speed auto and get almost the exact same gas mileage, but surprisingly, the towing capacity between the two is actually quite a bit different. Ford says you can haul 13,200 pounds with a 3.5 liter equipped EcoBoost, but Chevy only recommends up to 11,600 pounds with the 5.3. And even with the top trim 6.2, you can only squeeze about 600 more pounds of towing capacity out of that. So when it comes to power and towing, I think the Ford takes this one, at least on paper. Now, it's hard to rate trucks on their styling because it's all really personal preference, and we know that 5 minutes after you get your new truck, or even before you get it, you'll be shopping for wheels, tires, suspension, and all those other accessories to make it your own. Now, I know this is true because half of us who work here are always dreaming on our own website and figuring out what fitment we want and what we're going to order before we even get the next truck or car or whatever it is we're getting, but I digress. The F-150 lacks a little bit on interior quality since it hasn't seen any major changes since 2015, but it feels very familiar. Now, obviously here, there's going to be a lot of options also. I really like the cloth seats actually with the red stitching. You can still get them heated and cooled, so that's pretty neat. And nearly all of these trucks, the F-150 anyway, have a center console mounted shifter. Now you can get a column shift, but it's hard to find any in a well-optioned truck. I'm pretty sure you had to either special order it or you could get a work truck and that's about it. Now the instrument cluster still has analog gauges, but they do have a pretty nice digital screen in there. Again, as long as you option it, otherwise you get just like a basic small screen. But even that large one isn't super impressive, especially compared to like what the German automakers are doing now. But it is multicolor. It's got a few off-road modes and fun settings, and it's easy to navigate with the steering wheel controls. Now the center stack feels a bit outdated, so the sync system just doesn't look super modern, but I typically just plug my phone in and use Apple CarPlay anyway. And then in the Chevy, I think the gauge cluster looks a bit more modern and their screen is a little better quality than the Ford. Again, you still get analog gauges for your tach and speedometer. Then depending on the truck, you might also have analog, I think it's like fuel, temp, and voltage gauges along the top, but high trim trucks get a large screen with all that info on it. So the center stack here also looks more modern as you expect, and you feel like you have some more space in these trucks too, since they're gonna have that column mounted shifter. So interior quality and functionality, I'd probably give that one to the Chevy. Now, outside, the 2019 Chevy really shook things up with their redesign, and a lot of people were pretty upset with it, but I personally like the new look. I think it's much more modern, and the LED lighting packages look super sharp. I love that they offer the AT4 and the Trail Boss packages, you know, for those guys who don't plan on changing much with the suspension, maybe just wheels and tires. That way you can actually fit larger wheels and tires on the truck, so I do like that. I also like that the truck has a little bit more squared off look compared to the F-150, but that squareness also translates to the wheel wells, and that's not always the best thing. So we thought initially that these 19s might be easier to work with than previous generations because they added a bit more arch to the top, but inside that wheel well it's even worse than it was before, and a good majority of wheel companies had to alter their molds in order to get the wheels to fit over the new massive brakes that they put on there. For the F-150, the top trim trucks get awesome LED headlights. The FX4 package looks really good. Even the Sport trim still looks great. You can get black housing headlights from factory, and probably the best part when it comes to modifying trucks is they actually give you some nice size wheel wells to work with, you know, minus the crash bars, but those are easily cut out, or you can go through the lengthy process to actually unbolt them and take them out. There's no brake clearance issues to worry about here, so that's good. And I don't really know what else I can talk about as far as the outside. Like I said, when it comes to to looks, it's really just personal preference, and it's the same way for wheels. You know, people ask us all the time what they should get, and you know, there's just a million different options, and you really just got to come up to the website and kind of see for yourself, or check out all the examples that we've already got on there in the gallery. So you can find all that stuff already installed with a whole bunch of pictures and all that. So between these two, which one do you think is a winner? Let us know in the comments down below, and please don't fight that I didn't mention Ram, Toyota, or Nissan, because that might just be a future thing, all right? Peace.